Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the air. My name is Anthony John Agnello, and we are just about to play a little bit of ye old Elite Dangerous. Of course, Elite Dangerous is not ye old. Elite Dangerous is a wonderful, wonderful realization of David Braben and Frontier Development's long-standing efforts to make a new entry in the storied space sim franchise that actually goes back to the 1980s. Elite Dangerous is still sort of, in development. It is still on its way to completion. You can play the sim right now. What we're going to be looking at today is the wonderful, wonderful dogfighting game. And hold on one second, we've got David Braben calling in right now. David Braben, but how?
Hi, Anthony. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, David. How are you?
Yeah, you can't hear him, though.
Oh, David, can you not hear me? Oh, the nature of the beast. David is calling us from the E3 show floor, and that would explain all of the great deal of noise.
Okay, yeah, I do. No, sorry.
Wait, David, can you hear me now?
Separately, I can't hear you, sadly. I don't know why.
Oh no! Oh God! Well, this is.
Okay, so I'm going to hang up and we'll call you with a different...
Sure, call me right back. All right, everybody. Yeah, we're going to get David Braben back on the line momentarily. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Anthony. How are you?
All right, I'm good. Michael, how are you? Everybody, we have Michael Gapper on. Hi,
are we live right now?
We are live. We are on
so, in
the
that case,
air.
we're very sorry to keep you waiting. I'm going to put this call over to David Braben.
Sure.
I'm here with David Braben, the CEO and founder of Frontier Developments.
Wonderful.
And I'm going to try not to put my radio voice on too much. Good luck with your show, guys. I'm going to hand you over. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Hello.
David.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Can you hear me?
I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you, no. Could you hear me?
I could hear you. You were coming through fine. Everybody in the Twitch chat was ranting and raving. They were calling for your head. Not really. None of that is true.
Okay. So very sorry about that. I had a hiccup with Skype. We're here at E3, and we're sorted now.
Well, I have been explaining to folks as we've played that that is the nature of the beast when it comes to anything at E3. If anything goes smoothly, you know that something is wrong. That's the moment where you're like, oh God, what have I done? So David, let me just say that every single time I see Elite Dangerous running, I am thrilled for you and everybody at Frontier Developments. It is still remarkable to me to see in 2015 a brand new Elite game out in the wild and running. I think it's incredibly exciting.
You're very, very kind. I mean, to me, it's wonderful. And to do it, the team have done a great job. I mean, it really does the spirit of the game proud, and just all the work they've done on the latest update, Power Play. It's all of the new stuff. I'm so pleased with.
So David, this is a very, very, I'm sure that you've heard this question a billion times, but it's one that I'm interested, considering that Elite Dangerous has now been out in people's hands for, the better part of a year now. How has this version of Elite changed from when you first conceived it in 1998 to the game that that is out there and that we're playing right now?
I suppose visually it's finally got to the sort of thing I wanted to be able to do.
Right. I would say that it looks a little bit different than it probably would have at the time.
Absolutely. I mean, at the time, it was trying to show what was in your imagination with a small number of lines and a slightly flickery display. But don't get me wrong, I was hugely proud of what we did back in 1984 when we released it. But I suppose the point is, in your mind back then, you always imagined something far more sophisticated. It's like the drawings on the box and things like that. We're up there now with the drawings on the box.
Yeah, that is accurate. Like, and no longer am I sitting there looking at like a grid of, you know, the first time I ever played Elite was the NES conversion way back when with like the vector graphics, which was probably not the ideal way to play Elite, but it certainly left a lot to the imagination.
It did indeed. I mean, the NES was actually, if you think of it now in terms of what it was capable of, it was a 6502 processor clocked at, I think it was 1 megahertz, and, you know, with 2K of RAM, a tiny amount of RAM. And I'm even now amazed that we were able to do anything in that with that capability. There wasn't even enough memory to map each pixel on the display.
That's insane.
It is utterly insane. I agree.
David, how has, you know, so obviously, you know, the journey across nearly 2 decades in getting Elite out into people's hands, how has Elite changed in the past year? You know, I got so used to seeing Elite. I would walk through that upstairs hallway at the Los Angeles Convention Center at E3 after E3 in the past 5 years and see that banner for Elite sitting there and being like, oh man, that is where it is. That is where this mythical game is sitting. And now it's out there, people have been playing it. How have you guys changed it since it first became publicly available in 2014?
Okay, well, it's actually first publicly available in December 2013.
It wasn't December. I was not quite sure if you guys came in before the end of that calendar year.
Yeah, we came in on the date we said we would at the start. I mean, we came in December 2013 with the alpha.
Mm.
And then the beta came in, I think it was March or April. I'm trying to remember exactly. About March, I think, 2014. And then the release was in December 2014. So it depends which group you were in. So some people have been playing it now for 18 months.
Yeah, for quite a while. So how has it changed in those 18 months?
Oh, it's changed a lot, and I mean, very much for the better. I mean, the alpha in 2014. To be honest, we did this the way I've always wanted to do game development, where you actually get the key feature of the game sorted right at the start. So we got what I call the moment-to-moment gameplay nailed, where it was just combat, single player, back in December 2013. You know, that was when we added Oculus Rift as well.
Mm.
And then
one of the first big games to have Oculus support.
Yes, and I think we still are, incredibly. So long after the event, I think we're the only, unless you can think of one, we're the only AAA game that actually supports Oculus Rift for players at home. I know there have been demos of other games that you've been able to see at places like GDC and E3, but they're not released to the customer.
Yeah, there are certainly like hack jobs, like you can rig, you know, Alien Isolation or something like that to use Oculus, but you're right. Yeah, native support is it.
Which I'm very proud of. So the game has changed. Obviously, people saw the game come together, and then we had, the game shipped in December 2014, and we've continued to add new features. So we added community goals was the first major update in January. Then there was Wings that came through in, I think, end of March-ish. I'm trying to remember. This is off the top of my head. People will probably say, no, it wasn't. And then about 3-4 weeks ago, we brought out Power Play, which I think was the biggest of the 3 updates, which, it brings in a lot of things. It's not just the Power Play update, but that's the sort of the key sort of headline in it, I suppose. But the team have done such a great job, because each of these updates, and obviously there's been the Mac version as well, and now the Xbox One version, each of these updates has had a lot of other things in it, and the game's getting smoother, faster, so overall it's just getting better in every way.
David, we have a couple of people here hanging out in the Twitch chat. We have Twilight Error and Smelly Tunic, which are 2 of our regulars and 2 of my favorite screen names that I've ever seen. Smelly Tunic is so evocative.
Hi guys.
Both of them want to know. They're expressing their excitement about the Xbox version of Elite Dangerous that is coming. How is the game going to change in bringing it to a console? Because, you know, I'm perfectly happy to admit, and anybody watching right now realizes that I am not good at playing Elite with a mouse and keyboard. I am terrible at it. So, what considerations are you going to be, you know, taking into account when you bring the game to Xbox?
Well, it's already available now to play on Xbox.
Oh, it is available right now.
Game preview program, yeah. We went live when we announced it. We went live straight away, which I'm delighted. We and Microsoft managed to keep that secret, so that's good fun. But what the whole point is, the game is the same. You know, we've already had the controller working on PC now for more than a year. Those controls are available, but there's also a new one with context menus, which works really well. It's also going to come back to the PC. So you don't need a keyboard at all anymore, if that's how you want to play. It's entirely up to you, of course. And the beauty with that is I don't see, you know, this is quite interesting, you know, that we've seen, we assume console games are different because console games tend to be different.
They certainly have been in the past, absolutely.
That's right, but the way I see it is slightly different. I mean, I consider myself a console player and a PC player. You know, and I think the main difference is most people have the console in their living room. And so it's not necessarily a different type of person. I think it's just a different expectation or a different way you play.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
But what I didn't want to do is dumb the game down, because that does sometimes happen, and I find that quite frustrating when I see a game that I love that's being dumbed down. So we haven't done that, but what we are doing, and it's not in yet, but it's coming soon, is we're adding something called Close Quarters Combat Championships, which are outside the game, where you can get in a ship already with a preset loadout, so you're straight in, you're playing, and you're playing in competition against other players, as either sort of team deathmatch, if you like, or complete, you know, deathmatch, everyone against you. Or there's also a capture the flag, although it's not a flag, it's a data sphere type mode. The sort of things that will be familiar, but it's great because it means you can sit down, have 5 minutes gameplay, and that's it. And that is just a different play style that you might want to do. And that's also going to come to PC for free for PC players later this year.
David, we have an incredibly granular question here from Flux McGee in the chat. He asks, David, can you explain the merit system for power play? Specifically, how is the week-to-week deterioration calculated? I'm not even sure I know what that means.
And I'm worried about answering it because I might get it wrong. But the intention is the deterioration it isn't particularly great. It's really just to reflect the fact that, you know, you want every time it moves on. It's not designed to punish players, which I think there's an assumption of that. So I'm wary of explaining it because I think I might get it wrong because it's changed a few times already.
Flux McGee, I really hope that is a satisfying answer to you.
I'm sorry it won't be because I'm feeling bad, but what I don't want to do is give an explanation. Oh no, that's changed already.
So Aos63 asks, will you explain when passenger missions are coming?
We haven't announced when that will be. I'm afraid they're a way off yet because it's not just that. You need a lot of other things behind it for it to make it make sense. But they will come.
You know, David, I appreciate that is a far cry from the stock PR answer of being like, you know, we have nothing to announce today. I like that I like the honesty of not tomorrow. It's gonna be a while. You gotta wait for this one.
Sorry about that. I mean, this is the problem. When you duck questions, you always feel a bit awkward. But unfortunately, it's the best thing to do because it's less disappointing in the long run, if you know what I mean.
And one from IO6, they say, can you tell us about private groups on Xbox One? Are they there in the version that is there now, in the Xbox preview program?
I think they are. Although now you mention it, I haven't actually played in a private group on Xbox One. I'm pretty sure they are there. Yes, there's no reason for them not to be that I can think of. I think everything that is in the game on PC is in Xbox, including Power Play, including Wings, including community goals. All of those things are there. So there's no reason that private groups and solo is there as well, and you can play solo on silver.
David, I have a personal question. This one isn't coming from somebody in the chat. This is coming straight from me, and it's a question that I've been wondering for a while now. When the hell am I getting Lost Winds 3? Because it's a thing. It's a thing that I need in my life, man. It's a thing that I require at some point.
Well, I would love to do it at some point. I think it would be great to do something more in that world. It's not imminent. Don't hold your breath, I'm afraid.
No pun
it's
intended.
Quite a way away. Yes, exactly. Sorry, that's a good point.
Well, I ask about Lost Winds not just because I really enjoyed those games, especially the second one. The second one is one of my favorite things that I played on the Wii. But the world of independent development when Frontier released Lost Winds 1 and 2 is dramatically different from that space today. So I'm curious, do you think that Frontier would have had a much easier time getting some of the ideas that it had last decade off the ground today than they did at the time?
I think today, yes. I think today is the best it's ever been to make for delivery of games. There's a lot of the spirit of games from the early 80s, but actually now what's I think quite interesting is the games are better than ever. In the 80s there were a lot of really quite rubbish games around, and we sort of forget that.
There really were. There was some real garbage.
There was, but what the difference now is partly games are now sold very much on quality. The internet makes it very obvious if something's crap really quickly. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. And so really the games are better than ever. I think the tools for making them are better than ever, and the means for distributing them are easier than ever. So it's a really great time at the moment for games.
Are there any ideas for games? Obviously Frontier is very, very focused on the projects that it is working on right now. It's focused on Elite. Is there anything that you wanted to make once upon a time in the 90s or in the aughts that you weren't able to because you were constrained by the nature of publishing as it was then, by the nature of the sort of the closed nature of console development, that you think that you would actually be able to make now using the means available, whether that's crowdfunding or getting something out there with the money that you've made on Elite and funding a game that way and getting it onto early access and letting it take shape over a longer period of time. Is there anything that you couldn't make before that you want to make now because it's possible now?
Well, essentially, yes. There's another thing games that we've done a lot of is coaster games, and there's the de facto roller coaster game, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, that we did in 2004. That genre is Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 still is the best game in that genre, more than 10 years after we released it in 2004. And so we've wanted to come back to that for a long time. And, it's just bringing it to market ourselves. I don't know if you've seen the announcement of Planet Coaster from Frontier.
I have.
We showed the video back in at the PC Gamer Show, in fact, yesterday or day before yesterday. Time flies when you're here. You lose track of days.
Flies is an interesting choice of words. I would go with melts and deforms as E3 goes on.
as your body gradually does, lack of sleep.
Right.
And of course I'm still on a European time zone, which doesn't help because I flew in on Sunday.
Oh God, yeah, and that's not nearly enough time to adjust. But yeah, so you think the fact that you're able to, make Planet Roller Coaster, that's something that you couldn't have made if it was 2008?
I don't. No. I think. Well, some of the things we want to do would have been very hard, but I think it's also. We'd have to do it through a publisher, and that would determine us doing it certain ways. That's essentially the the issue. And I think it's that direct contact with fans, which is the really great thing.
So we have just a few minutes left here, David, and I know that you've got a very busy schedule on the last day of E3. We have a couple more questions from the chat here. AO63 said, "When will we get to launch ships from our Anaconda like we saw in the GDC video?" These continue. AO63, you're asking the most specific questions I have ever seen. I admire it.
And a lot of them involve the word "when."
Yeah, they certainly do.
Come, I don't want to. So I'll just give some background. If I give out a date, we have dates for these things in mind, but it puts an immense pressure on the team, and I hate doing that. I am very bad at doing that. So I don't want to announce a date. We do have a date in mind, but once I constrain that then becomes a very big pressure. So we do have a date in mind. It is coming. It's in the plan, but for that reason, I'd rather not give out that date. And I'm sorry for that.
That is quite all right. David, one last question from me. What at E3 2015, beyond your own games, has you the most excited? What have you seen that really sort of gets you pumped? It's something that you want to play, you want to get your hands on.
Okay, well, can I say several things?
Sure!
The backward compatibility on Xbox, to me, I thought, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure why, because I've got a 360 anyway. I just like the idea. But the game I love, I was a big fan of Fallout 3.
Oh, yeah.
The atmosphere of it. And the trailer for Fallout 4, I just thought, wow, I want to play that. It brought back so much fun I had in that game. A while ago now, but I'll be there playing Fallout 4 as soon as it's out.
Man, the one for me, I've just been looking at everything that gets announced, and I keep thinking what impresses me most is this is probably the first time I've ever seen an E3 where literally every developer, every publisher, every platform holder has at least something that I want to play. Like, it's just, right. I can't believe I'm saying it. It sounds like almost like, Pollyanna, pie in the sky, like I'm being overly enthusiastic, but it's true. Like, everything, what you said earlier, that games right now are better than they've ever been. And, man, E3 2015 has just really borne that out. David,
the best E3 I've seen for quite a while.
And you've been at this.
So much good stuff, yeah.
You've been at this since the beginning.
Yeah, that's right. There's so many things that I've looked at and I go, oh, that's nice. Beyond Ice, for example, I love the render style, the watercolor type feel. There are so many things that I've seen and I've gone, oh yeah, that's nice. I'll have to get that. The real problem for me is how many hours there are in the day.
Yeah, honestly. David, thank you so much for joining us. This was an absolute treat, man. And, I have wanted to interview you for years now, so I'm glad that I finally got to do so.
You're very, very kind, and it's been lovely talking to you.
Absolutely. Everybody, you can play Elite Dangerous on your Xbox One right now and on PC. David, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. And by the way, I'm Commander Braben, so you'll probably be more people still killing me when I'm playing the game. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, David.
Bye.
Everybody, stick around here on twitch.tv/joystick. We are not done by a damn sight. We are going to be continuing with our E3 streams in just a second. We are going to be playing a game that isn't even out until this fall. We're playing a feature-complete build of a little game called Volume by Mike Biffle. Stay right here. Don't trick your channel. We're going to go dark for like 30 seconds. Then we're going to be right back. We're going to be playing a game that you want to see. We're going to be talking to the developer. And maybe we'll even talk to somebody very quickly who is an old friend of the show. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. If you haven't clicked follow, click follow because I love you. We'll be